So hey guys, welcome to another video. Yeah, I guess I gotta do this YouTube thing for a little longer to know what to say next. But before this video starts, a little disclaimer. In no way or manner am I trying to provide you with medical advice. For that, you should always consult your doctor. With this video, I aim to put forth my opinions and experiences about OCD and what I faced dealing with this issue for a significant amount of time. So this video should only be considered as a documentation of what OCD is and my experiences with it. Something that I've noticed is OCD has become so common of a term that, and I would quote a Quora user here, that it has become a synonym for perfectionism or being a neat freak or just caring about your surroundings. But what actually is OCD? OCD is defined as Obsessive Compulsive Disorder, which is a psychiatric disorder characterized by obsessive thoughts and compulsive actions like cleaning, checking, counting, etc. Now, this is the internet definition that is accessible to literally anyone. So what is my aim with this video? Why am I making a video about this? The reason of me making a video on this specific issue is the fact that I want to make people understand that what it is like living with OCD, what it is like living with people who have OCD, and this is coming from a person who has dealt with OCD for a significant amount of time. Now, OCD has two essentials, obsession and compulsion. Obsessions are the persistent thoughts that people with OCD get and find really hard to get rid of despite making special efforts, whereas compulsions are the actions that you do or that a person with OCD does in order to get relief from the obsessive thought. So a simple example could be a person thinking that their hands are dirty even though they are not, and this could result in the person washing their hands for 10 to 15 minutes or maybe even more time at a stretch. Here the thought that the person gets that his or hands are dirty is an obsession, and the action that follows it, that is washing the hands for prolonged periods of time, is a compulsion. Some patients have only obsession or only compulsion, but most of them have both of these. Now you might be thinking, why did I choose to make a video on this very specific topic? And the reason is quite simple, to be honest. It is because I have it, and in the early years of my life, I had a severe version of it, which was the most torturing period of my life. Initially, it took me a decent amount of time to realize what the issue really was with me. Like, I knew something was wrong with me, but this was back when I was 7 or 8. So you can imagine that I wasn't well versed with the fact that this is an actual condition that people deal with, that I don't have some sort of special condition and that I don't have to hide from the world or something. But as time progressed, I remember my sister floating this term OCD in one of our conversations, and it got me excited because for the first time I was like,
is this something that other people have too? If this is something that more people have, there's gotta be a cure to it. Or I don't know, a temporary relief would be great too.
This led me to research more about the condition that is OCD and the treatment related to it. But for the most part, it allowed me to accept myself a lot more than I did before. And that is where the journey towards truly battling this condition of mine really began. As much as I've learned about OCD from the research that I've done on the internet and my own experiences, I still want to thank my sister for floating the term OCD in the convo, which really gave me a direction towards finding more about it. So let's talk about what I used to do when I had OCD. I remember being stuck in these cycles of repetitive actions where I would tighten the tap just a little more and eventually breaking it off because I tightened it too much. Have the objects in front of me in perfect symmetry because if I didn't, bad things are gonna happen to someone in my family tonight. Having rituals like breathing intermittently in patterns 10 times, but then 10 isn't a good number, so I have to do it 20 times, which made me feel suffocated and lightheaded. Annoyances like grinding my teeth continuously only to find out that I've chipped off a part of the enamel, which is an irrecoverable damage. Having 15 different rituals throughout the day and still finding strength in you to study for an exam at the end of the day. Checking the lock on the door 4 to 5 times and making sure that I have switched off the TV before leaving, and the list just doesn't end there. I even had days where I had to perform a compulsive action for about an hour or maybe more than an hour in order to get relief from the obsessive thought driving it. So as I was writing the script for this video, as I was researching more about OCD, I came across this video on YouTube which explained the basics and the elements involved in something like OCD. But believe me, that is not the part that I'm going to talk about. What I want to shine some light on are the comments that were underneath the video in the comment section. So the first one goes something like, I have OCD and I hate people around me when they say they have OCD just because something is annoying them. They don't understand you can really suffer from it. The second one being, it's like you have missions and you can never complete them. And the last one going something like, OCD is not that simple. It is mental torture. And this brings me to a very important point related to people who have OCD. And that is the way the society reacts to people who have OCD. I understand that people who do not have OCD might feel like people who do have OCD are being annoying. And I understand that it takes a lot of patience for one to put up with people who have OCD. For example, your one family member just can't get over his or her cleaning habits. You might think that whatever he or she is doing is completely unnecessary and a waste of time. But something that I've learned fighting this disorder for a long time is if you're on the receiving end of this torture that is OCD, it is one of the worst feelings that one can go through. I remember I used to be exhausted because of my compulsive actions. And when you are physically and mentally drained because of something you want to stop but can't, it becomes your insecurity. And every time someone calls you out for being weird or is insensitive to what you are going through, shatters your spirit and makes it 1,000 times worse to fight it. And since we are talking about compulsive habits, something that people who do not have OCD might not realize is the fact that these habits do not naturally grow in people who have OCD. Initially, it's some sort of obsession or thought that is driving or fueling these acts. For example, if you have an obsession about cleanliness or you have a thought about your hands being dirty, you might start washing your hands for extended periods of time. It is the repetition of these obsessions and compulsive actions that form these habits. And once you are in the rabbit hole, there are very few things that you can do to get out of this. These habits almost become a second nature. So people who are suffering from OCD for a long time might not even realize that they are performing these actions in a loop. And now that we have briefly talked about the essentials of OCD and what happens to a person going through OCD, and I say the word briefly here because there is a lot that goes inside the brain of a person who has OCD. We have just scratched the surface here. But let's talk about the real world or tangible effects that OCD has on you. It affects your social life significantly because I know I didn't want to be in front of my friends, or I didn't want to meet my friends when I'm going through a cycle of repetitive actions, because as much as I preferred for them to not see what I was doing, it is pretty easily noticeable and you constantly live under the fear of your friends thinking that you're weird. As I said before, it affects your relationship with your family members because usually they don't understand what is this weird thing that you're doing, and you can't expect your family to completely understand the condition as much as you do, and they would say things like stop doing it or stop thinking about it, which is as useful of an advice as breathe, it'll be okay. Thirdly, it hugely increases stress levels in individuals. What I have found is OCD creates a loop between stress and compulsive actions. As your stress increases, you lose the mental power to fight the cycle of actions that you slip into, and as you perform more of that compulsive act, your stress levels are bound to increase. If your action is related to something like grinding your teeth or contracting a specific muscles of your body, this goes without saying that you're gonna affect the health of the body part that the actions are being performed from. For me, I have chipped off a part of my enamel because of this. I've had days where I've hurt myself, hurt a specific muscle of a body because I was contracting it way too much, and now it has started to ache. So the motive of this video is me having one-to-one conversation about a condition that I found very less information about on YouTube, and where many people have tried to make it as comprehensive as they could. I just wanted to share my experiences, which is why I would love to read your experiences. If you have OCD and you have had experiences, you can share it down in the comment section below. To keep this video short and simple, I would be making another video on OCD where I would talk about the ways and methods that I use to lessen the effect of OCD in my life to the point where it doesn't even affect my life at all. But as I said earlier, do let me know about your experiences with OCD, or you might be having someone in your family or in your friend circle who has OCD, so you can share your experiences about what it is like to live with a person who has OCD. Till then, stay tuned for the part 2 of the Noob Smartphone Photography Guide, and remember, your spirit is greater than anything holding you back, and that includes OCD.